a lot of the security solutions you hear about today are really, for larger companies.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a small company, let's say I have 50 to 150 employees, a fairly small network, what are some things that I should be doing or I should be thinking about to defend my data, because the data is just as valuable as it would be for a Fortune 500, even though you're smaller?
Mm-hmm. Well, fortunately, network security solutions tend to scale very well. I think that for any size organization, whether you're 50 or 5,000 employees, we really need to refocus our efforts on the fundamentals of network security. Again, that would mean having a flaw remediation program in place. I'm not referring to simply turning on auto update. That only catches a small fraction of the issues that we face in flaw remediation. Beyond that, of course, policy management plays a large role today in the amount of risk that we face. A recent survey from IBM reported that we could eliminate 90% of the risk associated with Microsoft flaws and vulnerabilities by simply controlling the level of privilege for our users.
Wow.
Now, in a small enterprise, that really means you don't want every employee to have administrative rights, which unfortunately we find is the case.
Right.
Everybody's an administrator on their personal workstation. So again, getting in that added layer of controlling privilege for your users is a great add-on to helping to mitigate your risk. Beyond that, of course, is the patch management aspect. Sure. Or did we already cover that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Well, restarting that. And of course, last but not least, would be the patch management and flaw remediation aspects of it. We've known for some time now that we can eliminate 90% of our risk by simply running the most current version of a given vendor software. And I think that's an all too often overlooked avenue for risk mitigation in network security. If we look at the big picture today with web-borne malware, it's the perfect example. Studies have shown time and time again that the vast majority of the malware used in web-borne malware attacks has had vendor patches that were released well over a year ago.
That's a startling statistic.
It really is, and well under 1% narrows the window down to 30 days prior a patch had been released.
So most of what we need to do is out there. It's just us taking advantage of the tools, the technology, the process, and the policies that we need to put into place to really improve the level of security within our network.
Absolutely. I find it really appalling, the situation we're finding ourselves in today with web-borne malware, because there's simply no excuse. If we had simply taken the one necessary step in maintaining our patches on our software, we wouldn't be facing this issue.
What about passwords? Any thoughts on passwords?
Passwords have been obsolete for quite some time now. The bottom line is anyone who's still relying on static passwords is inviting trouble into their network. You can eliminate the vast majority of the risk by moving to a one-time password. You'll find one-time passwords available in tokens, in smart cards, and even soft tokens that can be run through a browser to generate a password that can be used one time and one time only and mitigate the vast majority of the risk associated with today's password attacks. I say attacks, it's really not even a brute force attack you need to be concerned with today. The bad guys have developed software tools such as rainbow tables that allow you to pre-compute the hashes that are associated with passwords. It covers all of your standard LAN-man hashes for a Windows environment, but even MD5 hashes for a Unix environment. So the bad guy doesn't have to brute force your password. He literally can look it up in a database. He looks up the hash in the database, it returns the password. It's as simple as that.
Makes it very easy for them.
Absolutely. It's trivial today to break a password.
Let me ask you another question. I've got a laptop, and let's say that I've taken the step and I've encrypted my hard disk. Am I protected?
Not really. I do a considerable amount of forensics work, and I've really yet to have an encrypted hard disk prevent me from getting to the data that resides on that hard disk. Typically, the passphrases that are used in the encryption of that hard disk are not that difficult to crack. And of course, once you have the passphrase, you have the keys to the kingdom for that hard drive.
What about the data flowing off the laptop? Is there anything that I can do to protect that data? Because I think when you look at the ubiquity of, whether it's recordable media like CDs or DVD, but especially these little USB drives or thumb drives, it seems like that's where a lot of the news stories recently, you really read about huge amounts of data being lost through that. What can I do to provide a more effective level of security in trying to prevent the flow of data from my endpoint off into these little portable devices?
You've hit on a point here that I really think has been overlooked by the community at large. We're spending tens of thousands of dollars to encrypt the hard drives on these laptops, these endpoints that are out in the field, yet we're doing nothing to take control of the removable media. If you encrypt the hard drive, if the user is properly authenticated, they're very easily then able to copy a file from that encrypted hard drive to a simple USB stick or to burn a CD with that laptop. It's trivial to move the data off of the laptop. Again, I think that we really kind of misplaced our focus there, and that removable media should have become a higher priority for endpoints such as laptops.
Okay. It seems in the last couple of years the focus has really been on network security, gateways, firewalls, AV to some extent. That's where a lot of the investment has been focused.
Yeah.
Yet a lot of the gaps, as you've said, are really in software flaws, the vulnerabilities that we face there. Do you think that we've been investing in the wrong areas, or do you think we need to have a different blueprint going forward? And if so, what are some of your thoughts there?
I really think that we missed the boat. Basically, we decided a decade ago that it was easier to manage a single gateway than 1,000 endpoints within the enterprise environment. We placed all of our focus on the gateway, and that's pretty much the reason we find ourselves in the state that we're in today. The bad guys have easily figured out ways around that gateway, we used to describe a network as having a hard shell and a soft center. That's exactly where we find ourselves today. We've neglected our endpoints. We really do need a new blueprint. That blueprint has to include a foundation for a fundamentally secure network. We can take our focus off of the gateway and apply those very same resources and really come out a step ahead of the problem. We've covered it already in the conversation here today. If we can address 90% of our risk by simply applying vendor patches, it's a great step forward. If we can apply policy, whether it be NIST policies or our own policies that limit the privilege that we're providing to our users within the network, we can eliminate a tremendous amount of risk. And beyond that, if we can apply application control to eliminate rogue software from running on our user workstations, number one, we eliminate the risk of malware running on a user's workstation. But number two, in this new age of a higher degree of insider threats, we eliminate an insider from perhaps installing software that has really no place on our network within the enterprise environment.
I think you've just given us the recipe of how to improve our security and without spending a whole lot of money in doing that. It seems like these are fairly easy tools to implement.
Security is not really an expensive venture. It is somewhat administrative intensive to first lay it out. But once you do have it in place, it just continues to provide that reward with very little additional investment.
Paul, thank you for joining us. If you'd like to send us more questions, send it to info@lumension.com or visit us on the web at www.lumension.com.